If I was sitting on this park bench, in only 3 years' time, I'd be buried underneath 8 feet of landfill, which seems uncomfortable. We're on what's about to become one of the most expensive miles of coastline in the whole world. And not because you have to be filthy rich to live in Manhattan, because of rising sea levels. New York City has just approved a $1.5 billion plan to strip this park, get rid of everything that you see here, the benches, the basketball courts, the trees, raise it up 8 feet, fill it with landfill, and then build the park again. And this is all to protect Manhattan from rising sea levels, from storm surges, from hurricanes, and from extreme weather events. And for me, thinking about this city being underwater, the uncertainty of the future stresses me out. It makes me feel uncomfortable and worried and kind of tight in my chest. I guess, like most of Manhattan, I have anxiety.
Do you want me to cut?
No, it's okay. It's just that the climate is now another thing that we have to worry about. And you know, it's not just me. New terms have been introduced to describe this kind of anxiety that we're all feeling. Actually, in 2017, the American Psychological Association first used the word EcoAnxiety, which they said is a chronic fear of environmental doom. Now, I'm sure that some of you might relate to that, but to the rest of us, myself included, it sounded a little extreme, right? A chronic fear of environmental doom. But then, for me, a few years passed and everything changed. Australia started burning. Now, Australia has always had bushfires, but these ones, they're different. The fire season has started earlier, the fires are more intense, they're leaving just unimaginable damage in their wake. And this is because of the effects of a warming climate on weather events. It makes them extreme. Now, the people who are in Australia, I can't imagine how they're feeling. They must be dealing with a kind of direct eco-anxiety, right? I mean, there's evacuations, there's property loss, there's the terrible toxic smoke that I'm sure you have seen pictures of. I can't imagine how horrible it must be. But over here in New York City, people also feel terrible. People around the world feel terrible. And they want to talk to me about it as an Australian. They have this kind of indirect eco-anxiety where they're still anxious about the world's events, but they're not really sure what they can do being so far away. But to be honest, the fact that everyone wants to talk to me about these fires and nobody wants to talk about this park that we're in right now tells us something fascinating about how our brains work. Have a seat and let me tell you about it. Our brains are wired to deal with direct threats rather than indirect future problems. Their wired evolution has shaped them over years and years to be worried about what's happening right now. But in terms of climate change and a warming climate, that's not something that we really have the option to think about. So this park here, the plan to, demolish it, get rid of everything and rise it up 8 feet has been campaigned against by the residents. They don't want the park to close, they don't see the problem. And if we wait for the threat of climate change to be immediate, if we wait for the fire to be on all of our doorsteps, we're going to be kind of screwed. And screwed is putting it lightly, don't you think? Come walk with me. Now, you might be wondering what the point of this video is.
A little bit.
And for those of us who are feeling eco-anxiety, we get stuck in these cycles of anxiety because we don't know what we can do to break out of them. We don't know what action is going to make a difference. And actually, that's something that psychologists recommend, taking action, however small. So you might donate to organisations that are making a difference, and I'll link to a bunch that are in Australia down in the description. Other things that can help are small actions, starting small, things that we can do to help. You might use a metal straw or a reusable cup as a step to reduce your plastic waste. And, you know, it's not going to solve climate change, especially when I can't even get the lid off this cup to use the straw. But it's something that might make you feel a little bit better and keep you motivated to keep going. Activism is something else that's recommended. Maybe you could join a march. And if you are feeling severe eco-anxiety, maybe it's something to see a medical professional about. Maybe ecotherapy will become a thing in the future. Maybe it already is. The thing is, if you are anxious about something where it's not severe, you're worried and you're stressed, it means that you care. And honestly, action is the best way to cope. I never thought that using a metal straw would be beneficial for my psychology, but there you go. Okay, keep rolling. I did just want to add that it's been a year since I launched my Patreon, which has been crazy. I appreciate everyone's support so much. I'm actually working on a really big project this year, which I'll be able to tell you about soon. But as always, thank you to my top patron. There is only one left. And his name is Jason Schonenberg. I probably pronounced that wrong, but I hope that he'll forgive me. A link to my Patreon is down in the description, as well as the organisations in Australia if you want to support them. Thank you.